Okay, aloha from Maui. I wanted to get into a little deeper lesson on open G tuning. I've been getting a lot of comments on it, so here goes. In my 60-second hit it and quit it, I can only cover so much, but here I'm going to go into some of the finer points of open G tuning. Here in Hawaii, they call it Slack Key tuning, and I'll tell you why. Because the Portuguese sailors brought it here back in the day, and they slacked the key. So instead of being a regular tuning, the E is down to D, the A is down to G, and then you got D, G, B, and then the high E down to D. Anybody familiar with open G tuning will know that, but some of you may not be familiar with it. So, it's got lots of different names. In the blues circuit, I think they call it Sebastopol tuning. There's lots of different ways, and there are lots of different uses. But for today, I'm going to cover a little bit of Hawaiian Slack Key. I'm going to start out with that, and then I'm going to move right into more traditional blues. But I mentioned this little turnaround in one of my lessons. It looks like an A7th form, right? And then you go to A minor 7th, which is just flattening the B string, go down a half a step. Looks like an A minor 7th, right? So, and then you hit an open E string, 4th fret, 7th, 5th. So here's the lick. Pretty, isn't it? Now you'll hear that a lot, whether it's Gabby Pahanui, who did a famous album with Ry Cooder back in the day, or even more more contemporary, the Beamers. This is a Beamer guitar here, which is a beauty, built by my buddy Steve, and Steve Grimes, that is. And so I wanted to do it justice by putting a little bit of Slack Key at the head of this thing, and then we'll go into some more traditional blues. So check it out. That you can just go into a lot of different, you can experiment and go into like a lilting melody, working off that high E string. Take it right into a more traditional blues, which is more of just a straight, that A minor 7th form, right? Back and forth, just down and up. Now it sounds more like what I would call folk blues or Americana, where I hate genre names, but that's what it is. Country blues. And then if you want to go to the 4 chord, you can go to the 5th fret and bar it like this. The same move with the other fingers though, right? A sus move, and back to the G. Now we want to go to the 5 chord, which is the D on the 7th fret. You can hit that open. That's the 7th fret. That's your 5 chord. Back down to the 4 chord, which is the 5th fret. Rest on your open G and let them stay as long as you want. Put some furniture in that room, hang out. Okay? So that's one way you can use it, both in the like I said, the Hawaiian style, but then going into the more traditional country blues. Now the other thing you can do is you can get more like up-tempo thing going, and almost like a rock sound like Keith Richards would do. And in that case, you can either do like work off the A and the D string and just do a real simple. It's kind of handy. And the same move on the 5th fret. That you've heard anywhere from Georgia Satellites to the Rolling Stones and lots of and beyond. But again, what's really cool to me about open G tuning is if you're sitting around with a group of people, whether it's two acoustics or a fiddle or whatever your style is, whatever kind of music you're playing. If you got an open G involved, it's great because it's such a fat sound. It has such it's really lyrical, and it's fun to sing over. Like there's an old Bob Dylan song, if I can remember. Well, I ride on a mail train, baby. Can't buy me a thrill. I've been up all night, leaning on my windowsill. That kind of stuff, right? Everything from that to, I used to do Robert Johnson. I got rambling on my mind. I got rambling little girl, rambling all on my mind. Got a mean hearted woman, leave me with a troubled mind. And so on. So you can see where you can go from anything from a beautiful Hawaiian melodic kind of thing all the way to some gut bucket blues and rock and roll and beyond. And there's so many more places you can go with it. One of the things that mesmerized me about Keith Richards playing is for the longest time I couldn't figure out. I was trying to play it in natural tuning and it sounded okay, but I wasn't really getting it. When he does stuff like, it's hard to do that in natural tuning or even like, let's see, I'm trying to remember. It's probably in the wrong key, but what's that from? I think it's from Let It Bleed. Can't always get what you want. Well, you can't always get what you want. That whole thing, right? I mean, what a great voicing that is. It's just, barring that 5th fret, and then he puts a 3rd finger on the 7th fret, and you get that voicing. That's great, isn't it? And what a great way to start a song, from that to the, I think if I remember right, there's a French horn. So you'll see where if you experiment in G tuning, there's lots of places you can go, especially as a songwriter, if you're interested in, accompanying yourself on one guitar, which I do quite often. Boy, for me, it's come in handy many times when I'm trying to fill a room with that, and by having that big old chord to ring out. Now, the other thing I wanted to mention is, I don't know if I touched on this, but hey, the birds are singing. If you look at that 5 chord again, where you hit that D on the 7th fret, you get to utilize the low E string because it's a D. So that's kind of cool because it means when you arrive at the 5 chord, it's going to be big and full. So for instance, if I'm doing just a kind of folk blues thing, and I want to go to a 7th, 3rd fret on the E string, up to the 4, and then back to your G, just resting there. Now what you can do is you can bend that low D and get like a country bend on the 2nd fret of the low E string. How cool is that? And then rest on your 7th fret barred, still letting that low D ring out. And then either go to your C, I just walked it down. Option, or you can. Sometimes I'll just stay at the D for a while. That's an old trick that I learned from my old boss, Clarence Clemens. Clarence Clemens was a great sax player. Played with Bruce Springsteen. I was with him on and off for 20 years, and a lot of times when we do a rock song, he got this from Bruce, and I had the great pleasure of playing with him and Clarence a couple times. But he would stay on the 5 forever. He would just build tension. Tricks of the trade, right? And then finally release. I think that's a cool thing. Again. Back to the one. So these are all just, all they are is just fun colorings and fun stuff we can do with G tuning. The other thing I do with it, and not everybody is a fan of this, but if you're a slide guitar fan, which I am, I've been playing slide since I was a kid, having an open G tuning is great because it opens up a whole new world of moods. So for instance, if you're just a beginner, people put their slide on different fingers. I put it on my pinky mainly because I like to be able to utilize my other three, but everybody's different. I think Derek puts it on here. Sonny, I'm not sure, Sonny Landers, I forget. Everybody's different. But for our purposes today, I'm just going to put it on my pinky, okay? And I'll give you just a really simple thing you can do in open G tuning to incorporate a slide. Okay, so we're going to stick to this same rhythm because I think it's just a nice, easy. Okay, so if you're doing that rhythm, got your groove set, you can do something like this. Slide it up. It's more of a muddy waters. I'm going from the fifth to the third to the open. There's no rules on that one, you can go wherever you want. And then I'm going to go to that D. I'm kind of going along with what I'm thinking of as I play. I didn't really plan it out, but that's the way I play anyway. So if you're going along here and you got your high 12, and you wanna send a signal out, a telegraph a signal that we're about to go to a change, like I'm gonna go to the 4 chord, I go like this. So what is that? I'm going to a 7th. So I'm going from an E to a D chord. What that does is it causes tension and makes you want to go to a 4. So. Here we go. And then to the 4. Kind of cool. These are just vocabulary things, right? I do a little wiggle here. I don't know, I like the sound of that on the 5 chord especially. And all I'm doing is I'm doing little half-step wiggles. Now, if you're new to slide, that's going to be a little bit advanced. But you got to be careful too because, and I give this on my slide lessons, which is a whole separate universe, but you got to do a lot of muting with slide, both with the right and the left. So suffice it to say, I'm muting both here and here. Especially if I want to get a real articulated slide thing. Now there is a time when you just want to, you can be messy, let's say, you know. That's fine. There's a time for that. But when I find for myself, especially if I'm playing electric, in a band, you listen to Derek Trucks, my God, his articulation is insane, his control, and it's all done through the muting. You know, Dwayne Allman had that. but now I'm regressing. I'm going over to the slide world, which I don't want to do. I want to stay in the alley of showing you just one of the things you can use to color your playing in G tuning. And you know, it's really not that hard if you get the touch down. It's almost like a voice. So that's a little walk down, and then we're going to leave the slide world, okay? It can be done down here. Kind of like a... So what I'm doing, what am I doing there? I'm on the 3rd fret, the top 2 high strings, and just walk it down chromatically. It's not going to be perfect. It's okay. Now, if you want to get a little bit fancy with it, you go all the way up here. This is nothing more than an octave up, right? So that's a little bit more advanced, I realize, but for those of you that are maybe getting going on slide, you know, just starting to really rock out on slide, and you want some vocabulary stuff, that's the beginning of it. And but what I'm really trying to get to is when you're playing an open G tuning, you got some freedom in a way. You don't have those closed bar chords and stuff so much. And so as a result, I'm gonna put the slide down now, enough of that. As a result, you can play harmonics, which occur at the 5th, 7th, and 12th in general. So it's really it's kind of, for me anyway, it kind of opens things up. Open tuning does that, especially on acoustic guitar, because it allows the singer or the artist, especially if you're a solo person, like I have to do sometimes, it allows me to do both rhythm and lead at the same time. So I'll be going. As we get along on this journey, I can also show you some positioning to do, especially like I use the G and the B string a lot. I'm not going to go too deep onto it now, but I can do stuff like, or, you know, you can use that G and that B string. Joni Mitchell, who by the way used a lot of different open tunings. So I'm really sharing with you my experience with open tuning through the years, and it started out, I think, originally playing just acoustic blues, like many people, and then as I said, I came to the realization that some of my favorite players, whether it was Dwayne Allman or Ry Cooder or Keith Richards, they utilize open tuning quite a little bit in their thing, and especially in their songwriting, man. You get those signature licks that Keith does. Where would that be without G tuning? Which, by the way, he picked up from Ry Cooder. I believe it was on when Ry did that movie Performance with Jagger. But I have to make a separate video with like obscure facts of where guitar parts came from. But you know, I think I can forget who said it, you know, I only steal from the best. We all steal and borrow from each other, and that's how we, you know, everything's derivative to an extent. So I think that's how we grow as players. We hear stuff we like, and then we, you know, learn it, and then maybe try and bend it and inhabit it, you know, to our own style, our own original voice. At least that's what I do. So that's about it. I'm going to play you out with, I think think I'll do like a little mixture of fingerstyle and some slide, and I'll catch you down the road.